What's up, guys? Today we are working on the fit again. So the fit currently has a set of function form type 2 coilovers on it that are seriously blown. This thing bounces all over the road. It's pretty sketchy. I took it on the freeway the other night and yeah, it was very sketchy. All I was doing was rubbing fenders, bouncing everywhere. It was not the type of thing you want your car doing, but to fix that we have a locked car. Nice. There we go, an unlocked car. We have a set of BC BR coilovers to put on. So the function forms are rebuildable, but from what I remember looking up, individual struts for them, and you do 4, were $200 a pop. It's $800 already. These were
13.
And struts for these are cheaper to replace if you do happen to blow them. So I figured those are dated. Let's just put some new stuff in and be done with it. So let's go ahead and take a look at what comes in this giant box. I'm gonna pull it out, leave it in here. So we have base instructions. There we go, some little spacers that this will tell us what we need to do with those. Instruction sticker, warranty information. You can see these are for the incorrect years, but it's fine, don't worry about it.
What?
Because 2013 was the last.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they went to 14 in Japan. They might have. You never know. But instructions, all that fun stuff. We will probably have to pull this out. So let's go ahead and just pull this out real quick and then we'll show you what's inside here. Coilovers are out. I did open them up to take a look at them. They're really nice, as BCs are. Toss that in there. Lots of packing material will also go in here. We'll clean all that out later. Okay. So, right here, you don't have your knife on you, do you?
I do not.
Okay, let's see if I can just... Okay, so we have a rear spring and coil adapter. It's got a nice height adjuster mounted on top of spring. Good to know, I guess. Yeah, so these are going to mount in just in the back here, and then you have this down as best it'll go, and then on the fit you have a separate housed rear strut. So these are going to go right about here behind the wheels, and that's your rear setup. And then actually, let's take this. I'll put everything down nicely, and then the fronts look like this. So they're very nice. Like they make really nice coils. So on the front we are going to have to do a good bit of extra work, like most modern hatchbacks. We'll talk about that in a minute though. But you get that, and then you get your wrenches and your strut adjusters. These can nicely be removed so you don't have to have them in all the time, which I'm hoping means we can get the rear panels back in on this, and yeah, we'll see. But yeah, that's what comes in the box, and let's go talk about what needs to be done to get these in. So one of the things you may notice when you look in the engine bay of your fit to do your front coilovers is you can't see the suspension. On a lot of cars you can. It's normally very common that the strut towers are usually very forward on a car, but if you come in here, there's nothing. You can't see any of it, and it's because it's right about here under the cowl on both sides. So when doing coilovers on this, it is a little more difficult. You need to move as much stuff out of the way as you can, and when I say that, what I mean is I'm going to pull off this hood, I'm going to pull off the windshield wipers, the cowl, and the windshield wiper motor below. I know people have done it without pulling the windshield wiper motor, but it just affords you that much space, and it's only a couple 10 mils to take out, so it's definitely worth it in my opinion. So we're going to start by unbolting the hood. It's just 4 10 mils, nothing special, and we'll get this off of here so we can start accessing the wipers and the cowl very easily. Hood is off. The next thing you need to do is pull your wipers. These literally just pop off, and it is a 14 mil behind it. So hold it up. And then once you have the nut off, the easy way to deal with these, off there, is to pull it up, and that'll relieve tension. We're just gonna kind of wiggle it, and it'll pop right off, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and set these guys right there. Pull our other cover off. A quick note for you guys. To do the spark plugs on this, or a valve lash adjustment, or suspension, or wiper motor, or just taking this thing apart, you have to pull this cowl off for everything. Newer cars like this just kind of do that, so that way they can place everything further back. It is what it is, but you can see the big section of the cowl is removed because the clip was missing over there. But just to show you, if you want to look right here, there's a clip right here. And we're just going to go ahead and hopefully unscrew it and have it come out. Let's see. Sometimes these clips don't do that though. And the rest of it was just literally held in with some clips. You just pop it off, it comes right out. Same with this, pull it out. And I think they're just on. Yep. And there you go. So these are the clips that normally go in there. Like I said, the other one was missing. They're just teeny tiny little screw ones. So we'll put this back in once it's ready. But you can see the whole cowl off. It's nice that it comes apart in sections because some of it can be a little bit of a pain to get out of there. But if you need to, it does come apart in sections. But if you take a look over here now in the field of lots of stuff, this centerpiece will come out of here. It does separate from right here. But you can finally see the tops of our coils that are, man, very rusty, huh? Like very rusty. So we're gonna go ahead and get the car up in the air now. I will start to pull this panel off along with the windshield wiper motor. Like I said, if you look over here, it is possible to get to, it's right here, this coil. But you can see it's just easier to take this out. It's literally just a couple 10 mils, comes right out, unplugs. Just make your life easy, in my opinion, take it out. So we're gonna go ahead and get the rest of this apart. If there's anything super relevant, I will show you along the way. And if not, you'll see us back here when this is out. So there was a lot of vegetation in there. There still is a lot of vegetation in there, but it is what it is. You can see here real quick, this is our center cover. Again, this isn't super necessary to come out for coilovers, but every little bit of room helps. But this is necessary to come out for spark plugs, compression testing, etc., 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 valve flash adjustments. So, but you can take a look over here now and you can see everything is fully apart. You can now see how easy by the time we'll have access in this. We'll just be able to get a wrench on there, and we will be reusing these factory top hats that are on these. These are kind of a weird setup that these cars had. Normal coilovers will have like a plate, like you remember on the FC. They'll have like a plate with some studs coming up and you just put those down. On these, it's all kind of one assembly. And this top rubber isolator top hat kind of mounts it to the chassis of the car, so you can see it on both sides. But like I said, it's all clear for space. We're gonna put the car up in the air now, get the wheels off, and start moving the factory. Well, the function form coilovers, not factory coilovers. A small update for you. If you guys don't have race ramps or pieces of wood, just buy race ramps. They're like 60 bucks. They're really cool. Make your life a lot easier. I couldn't see where the jack point was on this anymore, so we're going to, well, we did. We put it on race ramps and now we're gonna jack this thing up, get the wheels off, and start rolling some fenders. So, an important note for, I don't know, I'm assuring it applies to the other fits, but to the GE fit, because I made this mistake when I put these coilovers in the first time. When you go to remove your stock and or coilover assembly from the front hub, make sure you put something here underneath the rotor itself to support this. The rotor specifically, because you don't want the knuckle to flex forward. If the knuckle flexes forward, you can pull the little bearings inside the axle out of position. And then to fix that, you have to pull the axle, take the boot off, reposition them, push it back together, repack the boot with grease, put the boot back on, and then reclamp it, and it's a nightmare. So we're gonna support this with the jack while we take this coilover off. It's specific to this side. These do not have equal length path shafts, which means there's a long axle on that side and a short axle on this side. So because of that, this one doesn't allow you to have quite as much play. So we're gonna go ahead and support this, and then start taking this coil out of here. But while you're here, to get this out, you have a couple things. You have your brake line with the 12 mil right here. You have your ABS line, and this just literally pulls out. Very simple. And I think there might be another, yeah, there's one more right here holding it in place. And then, so yeah, brake line, ABS line, your 2 main bolts, and you do have to remove your sway bar end link. And to do that, there is an Allen key spot right here in the middle, and then you're gonna get a wrench and just hold the Allen key in here and turn the wrench to get this to loosen up. Once that's loose, you can take the nut off and just shove the sway bar end link out. So we're going to get most of this apart, mostly just the brake lines, the end link, that stuff. We're gonna leave this in until the end. We're gonna get the top, support this, and then we'll get these guys last. Okay, one thing to note, you do need to have a nice little Allen key in here to hold your strut centered. If it's not, it will spin the strut instead of just trying to take the bolt out. But we're nearly there, especially if this doesn't move. And hopefully this is on the other side, because if you remember, the adjuster is out of that side.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the adjuster plus Allen screw are out. If they are, we need to take it out of this one and put it in that one, you know? Okay, I think. I think we're at that point. Okay, so there we go. So like I said, we're going to be reusing this top mount. There's a nut in there, or a washer. Make sure you don't lose that. If you do happen to have destroyed one of these, you can get a set of just these at O'Reilly's. I don't remember the exact part number. I looked it up a while ago, but these are in good enough shape that we are not going to replace them. But you can see right here now, this is just the top of the coil now. That's all that's there. So we're gonna go ahead and take out the last remaining things down here. If you wanna take a look here. We are fully supported down here, so we're not going to drop that axle out. That'll be a real pain. And I think those are 19s, but I already have 17 here, so it's, yeah, 19, 19. Okay, so I'm gonna grab a 19 and then I'll grab up. Okay, first coil's out. You will be also retaining your stock upper mount, whatever you want to call it. As you can see, these are done. Like, very, very done. They are super old now. These were really good coils while they were new though. So, like I said, these are rebuildable. You can probably throw them up on offer up for like $50. So if someone wants that low, or they want to rebuild them, you'll see them for sale on offer up, and you can buy them for 50 bucks. But yeah, so this is what happens when your struts blows, is you get all this kind of gross, oily, all the fluid that was down here in the shock is now out of the shock, and is all this dirt basically. And that's when your ride quality goes real poor. So that's the old one. We're gonna grab one of the new ones from over there. And we want to keep the car at the height it was at, so we're going to adjust to the same type of spacing and then put the new one in. So let's grab those. Okay, so one other thing we had to swap over from the old coilovers was this nut and this top little spinny washer guy. That was the last thing to swap over. So we're done with this side. Now we got to put this up in the car. So this is tightened down. Again, just an Allen key in here. 19 mil on that. Then this is going to go over, and we're going to put this up into the car, and then you know, we'll see how that goes. You won't see us pull the top part in just because I'll need an extra pair of hands, i.e. the ones behind the camera, to help me bolt this in real quick. We'll tighten it up with you though, so you see how all that works, and we'll show you how the bottom goes together Okay, so we'll be right back. So coil's in place. The top bolt, if you want to take a look at it, the top is just loosely in there just to hold it up while we put the rest of the bottom back together. The top will be the last thing we tighten down. So now we have these big 19 mils right here, and you might need to just kind of wiggle your hub a little bit just to kind of get it in place. But as soon as you do, it'll slot right in. So, same thing with the bottom. Just pull it. There we go. And there we go. So now we're going to go ahead, spin our nuts on. And get tight enough. Like that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is tighten up the bottom. Now you can look up torque specs for these. I don't know what it is offhand. I've tightened enough suspension bolts now to kind of have a feel for it. Use torque specs though, don't follow my method. Torque specs are safe. Our bottom mount is in. So now we need to start putting back in our ABS line, which, that's kind of funny. The bracket does not reach, but no big deal. Get this popped in. Well, it's a bit funny because, like, you see the little marker for the bracket, and that's going to pull it. So we're not going to do that because we don't want to pull it, you know?
Yeah.
But I'll go back on nicely. A little 12 mil right here. But you can see here, ABS line back in its proper bracket, except for this little guy right here. I'm not going to worry about it. I don't want to put a ton of stress on this, so I'm not going to pull that. It'll just hang out in its line. But we're going to get this guy in. While we're here, you can see this will just pop in place. Okay, so this one corner all done. So you can see we have our top mount in. It's all good. Tighten this down. Everything's good. If you want to get in here, we have our sway bar and link back on, brake line back on, ABS line back on. These are tightened up. So that's it for the front on this side. I'm going to continue the front on the other side. It's exactly the same. There's no difference. So if you can do this side, which is the harder side because of the axle pull out, you can definitely do that side. So we will catch up with you when we start the rear. Front coils are in. So the other side already has the wheel on. This side does not, so you can see this side's all good to go. Like I said, it was literally the same as the other side. The ABS line bracket did also not line up on this side. Is what it is. No big deal. Whatever. The main part of it's in the clip. It's just the bottom little plastic clip doesn't go in the thing. It'll put a little stress on it, and I don't want that. Because anytime you pull the ABS lines, you can lose ABS. So not a big deal. It'll stay safe. If you have an MR2 and you know exactly about pulling ABS lines, Albert. Yeah, we don't know anyone that did that. Anyways, so front's done. I'm gonna throw the wheel back on. I'll reassemble the top of it later. I don't really care about that right now. I want to get the rear done and then drive it before I put the hood and everything back on. So I'm gonna put this wheel back on, get it back on the ground, and start the rear. All right, guys. So we have the rear of the car up, wheels are off, and we have a jack right here. If you look in here, it's under the middle holding the rear bar up. So the fit rear suspension, if you look in here, I'll get some light going, it has a separate rear strut from the spring assembly located over here, unlike your typical kind of McPherson strut setup where the spring and strut assembly are on one basic piece. So when you're doing this, well, the reason they did this is because it was cheaper and easier to produce a rear suspension setup that still moved vaguely cohesively of itself, but wasn't true independent rear suspension. Like I said, cheaper, more cost effective. The Fit was a kind of cheap car. It is what it is. But you'll see a lot of cars of this kind of price point and that type of stuff with this rear bar. So to remove this rear suspension, what we're gonna do, there's a bolt right here at the bottom of the strut. If you wanna come over in here and look at that. There's a single bolt here holding it. We're gonna remove this on both sides. Once we remove this, and that's why we have the jack holding the center bar up, we're gonna loosen the jack, and as it comes down, the springs will basically just drop right out of there, which makes the rear end super easy to do. So yeah, we're gonna unbolt that, undo that, and then we gotta get the rear top of this, which if you look in here, there's nothing to it. You know, it's literally just the top bolt holding it on. So remove the rear bolts on the bottom for the struts, take the spring assemblies out, put the new spring assemblies in, take the top of the strut out from in here. You'll see that as we do it, and that's pretty much it. The rear is super simple. So, dark update, bright light. I'll actually just pull this down and show you. So if you want to come over here real quick, some light for you. So we lowered the rear section. You can see the new BC spring set is in there. The only thing we had to transfer over was this top little rubber isolator and the bottom rubber isolator. The bottom one was a little tight fit, but not a big deal. We'll probably show you the other side. And then the strut is out, and the strut is pretty much the same as the front. There's just a top piece of rubber, a washer, and then the nut. You just have to hold the strut with a Allen key so it doesn't move. If you don't necessarily have an Allen key, just super handy. What we had to do on this, because it was spinning quite a lot, is I grabbed a set of vice grips and a rag and just clamped onto the strut rod, so that way the rag would make it not get damaged, and that way this held it, probably not blowing the camera, this held it real well. So yeah, we'll show you the other strut, or the spring coilover isolator deal, and yeah, well, then we'll finish up this install because it's dark. Okay, let's show you how to put this together. So here is our old coilover setup. Put that there. It's white. And here is our new setup. So I'm currently leaving the adjusters at the height they're at. I can adjust this later when it's daylight, not really a big deal. But you'll take this little guy, this washer, put it right there, put that to the side. Then you can just move all this up to the side. This is the part that's a little harder. So put this over, put it back the way it goes. So the BC coil is a little bit smaller, so you have to kind of play with it here. You'll see there's a step in the isolator. The step is for the end of the spring. I'm gonna knock some dirt off it. And then you can see it's a pretty close fit, but you have to just kind of play with it a little bit to get it to fully pop in. Oh, it's almost there. Where are you sticking? Ah, right here. There you go. You just gotta play with it a little bit. This is a little off, not a big deal. It'll eventually work its way into that little tab there. But yeah, so you wanna get that on there. Now, this coil section is the top. So you have your spring piece, sits there, makes that not noisy. You have your adjusters, and then you have your top section that mounts in. It's all just like that. Okay, so top, bottom, it actually says on here, which is kind of nice that they provide that for you. Height adjuster mounted on top of a spring. It's nice that they give that to you, you know? Mm-hmm. So we'll show you how to put these guys in real quick. It's a pretty simple procedure. It literally just slots in place. I'll hand you the light if you don't mind. Thank you. So you can see there's this big nub here, and that goes into this section of this. So we're gonna go ahead and just, you'll see there's a little bit of play. That's all you really need. And you'll seat the spring down in. I'll take this out actually right now. There you go. Spring seats in there. And then we will add our adjuster. I haven't pulled this strut out yet, so there's a little space. It's not a big deal. There you go. And then we'll add our washer. And then like I said, this is gonna sit like that. So once we put the new struts in and bring this arm back up, you'll see it'll just push itself back into place for us. So for the moment, we're just gonna let that rest like that. We're gonna get this other strut out. We'll show you the setup here real quick while the monkeys scream. So here you go. So here's the other setup for this. Like I said, it's just the nut on top, and then what came out of there? Just, is that it? Oh yeah, see. So there's a rubber mount and a top washer. So we'll put the new strut up in here. You'll put the rubber mount on, you'll put this on, and you'll put your new nut on. So we're gonna get that going, and we'll get it back. Last strut was fighting us, but we got it. Impact to the rescue. So you have this sleeve, you have this washer. You're gonna take your little rubber mount for the bottom, and it does go this way. You're gonna push it down until it kind of gets over the little thing, bottoms out. Now the kit will come with two of these little kind of clear spacey guys. This is gonna go right here, and what this wedge is, so this sits on the bottom of the body mount, this sits in the body mount, and then the top one sits on the other side. So the body mount kind of like is between the little clear guy and the bottom piece, then the top comes on, and you bolt it all together. So we're gonna put this in now, finally. Okay, so rear's done. Wheel's already on the other side, but here you go. You can take a look at it. You can see our nice new spring in here. There's a coilover adjuster, our new shock. Everything is all good. So we haven't adjusted the height on this side yet. We did adjust the front down when we put them in. We'll see where this lands us, and then we'll adjust the rear as we need. But like I said, it's dark out, so we'll adjust this in the day. But we're gonna get the wheel back on, put it down, drive it around, check our work, and yeah. But past that, that's pretty much gonna do it for how to put coilovers in your GE fit or other fits, or I think the RS is pretty similar. Other stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and just like carefully. There we go. I'll be blinded by that now. Either way, let us know what you thought of the video down below. If you put the coils in, if you're gonna get coils, if you've been thinking about it. It's a pretty easy job. It's just a little time consuming, but that's gonna do it. So like I said, leave a comment down below, subscribe, bells, likes, dislikes, whatever. Click the stuff. There's lots of stuff to click. And we'll see you in the next one. And we appreciate you guys.